You ever have one of those moments that just splits your life in two before and after? Yeah, I didn't think I would either. But let me take you back. Picture this, an 8-year-old girl standing dead still in the doorway of a sunlit office, where the afternoon light is slanting through tall windows, tracing golden patterns across polished wood and rows of blinking screens. That was ISA, new to my house, new to my life, and a whole lot sharper than any of us knew. See, ISA, a Monromi daughter now, though back then she was mostly a misterish learned real young to watch people before saying a word. 3 foster homes'll do that to a kid. So she stood there, fingers tracing the old door frame, just watching me, Eli Monroe, her adoptive dad, though dad felt like a big word for a guy more comfortable talking to a laptop than to a child. You know what I mean? Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own world, we don't even see the miracles standing right in front of us. It was just a normal day, or so I thought. I'm at my desk, my whole life humming and blinking around Millionaire at 30, built a cybersecurity company from the ground up, and apparently clueless about the most important things. ISA stood there for what must have been 10 minutes, waiting for me to even notice her. I was busy on Zoom, blabbing about encryption and quarterly reports, not knowing my world was about to tilt. Then she finally spoke, not loud, just a whisper, but it changed everything. "There's a camera in your office," she said, "but it's not yours." Let me tell you, those words cut through the noise like a siren. I froze, my fingers mid-keystroke, my mind racing. Was this just a child's fantasy, or something darker? But then she pointed steady and surrey the painting over my bookshelf, and suddenly all the weird little moments started to click. Sabrina, my girlfriend, insisted on that painting, always hanging around my office, always knowing where I'd be and when. "How long have you been watching it?" I asked her, voice low. "Since she put it up," ISA answered, calm as you please. Turns out my 8-year-old had been using her tablet to scan the house for strange signals when she couldn't sleep. That painting? It was broadcasting on a frequency that wasn't even part of our network. The room went silent, just the hum of machines, and my heart thudding in my chest. I looked at ISA, really looked at her for the first time since she'd moved in. Not as some problem to be solved or charity case to pat myself on the back for, but as a person, someone who'd just saved me from a mess I never even saw coming. "Show me," I told her, and she pulled up maps and signals, showed me blips I hadn't noticed, little red dots where nothing should have been. There was one behind that fancy painting, one inside a vase in the living room, and another, somehow, in my nightstand. Sabrina had been bugging my home. The woman I thought I loved, the one I was thinking about proposing to's been tracking me, recording everything, calls, late-night talks, business deals, even my moments with ISA. You ever feel like your whole reality's been rewritten in a second? That was me, sitting there in shock while ISA told me she tried to speak up before, but I was too distracted, too focused on being efficient instead of present. She'd watched Sabrina, noticed her showing up when I wasn't home, acting surprised to see ISA, always with an excuse, always just a little too interested in my schedule, my business, my friends. Twist number 1. It wasn't just Sabrina. ISA had seen Malsme's CFO, one of my oldest friends, sneaking around with her when I was out of town, talking about timelines and product launches. My mind fought it, but the evidence was everywhere. I'd given Sabrina a key, trusted her, and here she was not just betraying me, but using my daughter-me chilled as a tool for her spying. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked ISA, my voice barely holding together. She looked so small then, said, "Because adults don't usually believe kids, especially kids like me. And I thought maybe you already knew." I swear, hearing that, knowing she'd been carrying all that alone broke me in ways I didn't know possible. But there's a funny thing about truth, it has a way of pulling allies out of the woodwork. ISA suggested we trust Josephine, the woman who'd managed my home since before I was grown, the only adult who'd ever really listened to her. Together, in my library that afternoon, the three of us put the puzzle together. Josephine had been suspicious of Sabrina's questions, her presence, her fake concern, and she'd seen her sneaking around at 6 in the morning, not looking for a book like she claimed, but standing by my computer. Piece by piece, we realized this wasn't a simple betrayal. This was a full-on operation. Miles, Sabrina, maybe others working with my biggest competitor to destroy me. ISA, all 8 years of her, was the one who saw it coming and dragged me out my own blind spot. You ever wonder who you trust when the world catches fire? Turns out, sometimes the strongest allies are the ones you least expect. A child, a housekeeper, an old friend whose loyalty runs deeper than blood. So we set a trap. ISA, with her genius, managed to access their surveillance network, hacked it right under their noses. We'll let Sabrina and Miles think they'd won, let them execute their plan. While Sabrina downloaded fake files from a decoy server, every move she made was broadcast straight to federal agents watching from the other side. Meanwhile, Josephine traced wire transfers hundreds of thousands sent from shell companies tied to my rival. ISA decrypted communications, showing Sabrina had done this before to other men in other cities, leaving ruin behind. The final showdown was cinematic, I'll give you that. I lured Sabrina into thinking she'd gotten away with everything while my real team, my true family, closed in around her. When she realized the game was up, her mask slipped and the cold, calculating operator underneath came out. The FBI swarmed the house. Miles was picked up at my office, trying to plant fake evidence. But the hardest moment came after, when ISA, my brave, brilliant kid, saw me waver when I almost believed Sabrina's tears instead of the truth right in front of me. ISA disappeared, devastated, hiding in the storage room, her trust in me shattered. She looked up with tears and said, "You didn't believe me. You listened, but you didn't believe me enough to act." That cut deeper than any betrayal Sabrina could muster. You know what's wild? Sometimes kids see through us better than any adult ever will. I apologized, meant it. I told ISA she was right, and finally, I let her lead. She showed me everything, how Miles and Sabrina were planning to not only steal my prototype, but destroy my reputation, frame me for crimes I didn't commit, and leave ISA with nothing, tossed back into the system. We flipped the script, fed every move back through their own bugs, let federal agents collect every message, every forged document, every double cross. The night they made their play, thinking they'd walk away rich and leave me in ruins, we were waiting. I confronted Sabrina, her real name, Rebecca Santos, while federal agents stormed in and arrested her and Miles. 6 weeks later, ISA was the star witness in the biggest corporate espionage case the state had ever seen. She sat beside me in court, brave as ever. Her testimony so sharp the prosecutors called it the most compelling evidence they'd ever presented. The adoption was finalized that same day. She wasn't my foster kid anymore. She was family chosen, loved, and, honestly, the smartest person in the room. After the dust settled, our home changed. No more hidden devices, no more watching our backs. We redecorated ISA's drawings on the walls, Josephine's photos by the fireplace. We built a real family, one forged in the fire of crisis and stronger because of it. I gave ISA something special, a device of her own, built from her own inventions. Filed the patent in her name. The youngest patent holder in cybersecurity history. But the best reward? Her smile, pure, honest, the kind you only see when someone finally feels safe. 1 year later, I stepped back from the company to focus on what matters. Being present, listening, helping other families spot the warning signs we missed. We started the ISA Foundation to help victims of scams and corporate betrayal, named, of course, after the girl who taught me that wisdom doesn't always come with age. You ever think about who you trust when your whole world is on the line? For me, it turned out to be an 8-year-old with eyes like searchlights and a housekeeper with a heart of steel. We stood together, fought back together, and built something real out of the ashes. So let me ask you, would you trust if everything fell apart? Who's the unexpected hero in your story? Drop a comment below, share your thoughts about justice, about trust, about what family means to you. Like if you believe chosen family is real family. And subscribe for more stories where ordinary people become extraordinary heroes. Sometimes the voice that saves you is the one you almost didn't hear. Sometimes it's your own.